Hi Design Tech students! So today I'm going to be showing you how to create a loop. Just like all of your other templates, you'll see the word for that piece each time there's a piece. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 loops labeled here, which means you can make 4 loops from your template. Some of the templates you can see have a little excess here. It's just the way that they print. That's fine. It just means that one side of your loop would be a little bit larger. But if you're only going to do 1 or 2 loops, I would say use the pieces in the middle because it's going to be the most accurate. So I'm going to I'd cut off one side here, and then I'm just going to cut down this line. So your piece should have kind of like a straight track in the middle and these flaps along the side where we're going to turn. Okay, so pretend I cut that one, and I'm going to cut the other half now. So get each template, you can get 4 loops. Okay, now that I have my piece cut out, I'm going to score it. Remember, we connect along the dotted lines. So I'm just going to score each side, and it's kind of like a straight track, how it's going to look here. And same process of folding these sides to it. Now I'm doing this on the work table, so it's a little bumpy. You guys make sure that you're scoring on a nice flat surface. Okay, so now that that's scored, I'm just going to fold the sides, fold it back down, just making sure that I've got a nice folded edge there. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all these little tabs. And again, we're just cutting along the bold line here, and then I'm going to stop at the line that I just scored. It's going to take a moment, cut all these little tabs. Make sure you don't overcut. I'm not going to do anything with the gray area just yet. Those are going to be our fold guidelines. So we're not cutting out any of the gray area. It's going to be like your funnel. If you completed that piece, the gray is just where it's going to fold over. Okay, now the other side. I described this to students in class as kind of looking like a millipede with all these little legs. Okay, last one. There we go. So we've got all these little tabs, and I'm just going to go ahead and fold them up. Nothing about this piece is too super difficult, but it is very repetitive. Cutting, folding, and taping all these little pieces. I'm just checking some that I didn't cut all the way. They need a little extra. Okay, so now that I have it kind of looking like this, all the tabs folded up, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be folding these pieces one over another. Bring it up to the camera. So that's the little gray part. Let me see if I change the light. If it's, yeah, that'd be a little easier to see. We're going to take one piece and you're just going to fold it over that gray part. So I'm going to fold it, make sure the gray is covered, turn it over, and then tape. Because I've got a lot of taping going on here, I'm actually going to do what I did for a couple of the other projects and get a couple pieces prepared so they're ready to go, because if you've been following along with these and building your pieces, you know that like holding it and folding and taping at the same time isn't always very easy. So go ahead and prep your pieces of tape. And because these are tiny little tabs here that we're taping together, you don't need very big pieces of tape. You can just get little pieces of tape, and then you'll see I might have to reinforce it as we move along. Okay, so I've got a couple pieces started. Again, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to fold it over the gray area, kind of pinch it between my fingers, and then tape down. Okay. And then if you've got any that hang up, just fold it over the top. So same thing, I'm going to check, make sure the gray is hidden, and then carefully tape my piece. If something's hanging up like that, I'm just going to fold it down. If it doesn't stay down, I can always just cut it at the end. You might need to clean up some parts of the project. Sometimes it might be easier to like tape one piece, hold it, and then tape. You'll find a rhythm. But if any of the gray is sticking up, I'm just going to go back and fold it over. It's important that you try and be as accurate as possible when folding these little pieces, just because you want it to be a nice, even curve. If like the gray, if you overfold it, the turn's going to be too tight. If you don't cover up all the gray, the turn might be too wide or uneven, and it just might not be as smooth as a ride as you want for your coaster. And every once in a while, I've been going back and reinforcing little areas with tape, because I've noticed that the tension with the paper has caused it to pop open at times, and we don't want that. We don't want that on a roller coaster. So again, I'm going through, covering just to where the gray ends, and taping it down. And I'm going to keep doing this. So at this point, if you feel comfortable with what you're doing, you can just keep going and then go ahead and do it on the other side or fast forward, because this is going to take me a little bit, but I am just taping through. You'll notice again, if you are taping it correctly, it should be a nice smooth turn. If it's getting like too tight in some areas, you might want to notice if you're over folding. I have done that myself. But if you do that, it won't be a nice even turn. I got part of it done. I got to get more tape ready. I did not get enough tape together. But you can see there, it's coming along. And I think the next side will be a little bit easier because one half will already be folded. The paper will kind of already be shaped the way that you want it to. So again, nothing too difficult, but a very repetitive piece. Now see how I've got it kind of curled up in itself? I'm obviously going to have to shift it over. Okay, move it out of the way so you can continue taping. Okay, last one on this side, and then I'm just going to like I said before, just double check that all the parts are reinforced, because every once in a while you see parts that are kind of just folding up a bit. I can see in here like it's kind of loose, so I'm just going to tape over. And I'm just taping across the top with like a wide piece. I was cutting it and scoring it and then taping down. Okay, now we have the next side. You know the drill, prepping the tape. It's always more than I think I need with this piece, but smaller pieces work best. They're a little more manageable. Okay, it's the same thing. I'm going to start here, making sure that I'm covering up the gray and that the pieces are nice and even. And just going through the motions again. But I have to kind of look through this loop here, but make sure you can eyeball it. I know sometimes in the past I've gotten a little bit lazy with these and I don't match up the gray exactly, and then my loop looks kind of wonky. So I know this piece takes a while. I'll try not to burn out with it. Okay, keep going. Down. Folding it over where needed, reinforcing it when needed. And there's some spots where I can see like tape kind of hanging out. I'll try and bend that down so it's out of the way. But if it's not sticking and it's just going to be hanging out there, I'm going to just go back and cut it and tidy it up, because neatness is part of your grade. Okay, so it might look a little sloppy when you're first making it, but if you can go back and tidy up pieces, that's good. I wouldn't want to get on a roller coaster that looked like it was falling apart, so let's not do that to your customers. Okay. John, you'll notice the same thing as we did the last time. When you get like about halfway, you might have to take your piece and kind of fold that to the back and then keep taping, just so it's curling the right way, and then it's not in your way. You saw with that one, I had to rip it just a little bit because I didn't cut all the way down. That was my mistake. And if you don't do that, you won't be able to fold it at the right place. So that one, I had missed cutting it just by a little bit, and it wouldn't let me fold it accurately. So I had to just, you can tear it or cut it, but you do want to make sure that it's cut properly, because it wasn't folding at the right spot. And I am, once again, I needed more tape. I am almost there. Home stretch. See, it's kind of like the sharp turn, except you're doing it on both sides, not just a wall. That's what's creating your little loop-de-loop. Remember, you're going to make sure that you got a decent amount of gravitational potential energy converting into kinetic energy so that it's moving at a decent speed, so that it goes all the way around your loop. I suggest to some kiddos that they put it kind of earlier on in their course. Not necessary at all, but I do think that it does help, because you don't want it to be at the very, very end and it's run out of energy and it kind of falls short. Looks like this piece fell out, It's okay, that happens. So we're going to go back. I'm going to check to see. Looks like that gray area popped out. So I'm just going to go ahead and refold it. That happens when you're creating tension and you're taping all of these pieces together. So I'm just going to go around, kind of give a final inspection, make sure that all of my pieces are nice and securely taped. Okay, and there I have my loop. Okay, so you're going to put your straight track here and one straight track here. Again, I'm going to go through and just clean up some areas. If I've got tape hanging up, I obviously don't want my coaster to hit the tape because that'll really slow it down. So give it a good inspection before you're done. And then with your coaster piece, if you need to cut any part of the loop, like this turns up a little bit, and maybe I don't want my straight track to go that way, you can cut it or just fold it down a little bit if needed. Again, these are the base for your parts, but you can make adjustments to make sure it works for your coaster. And there you have it, your loop.